That's right, folks. It's another Tuesday night, and you're tuckered out after a long day of work or just watching videos on YouTube all day. What are you going to do? Well, with it being tradition on Tuesday nights, you're going to sit back, relax, and listen to the Just Giggle It Grab Bag podcast here on the So You Want to Be an Imagineer YouTube channel. That's right, folks. It's the show where we break down all the sketch comedy goodness from the makers of Harley Quinn and the Joker versus the real world. And Dragon.
Yes, folks, if you haven't already, you gotta
No,
check out.
Hold on, Dragon. Sorry. I say your name, you say yes. Okay, that's how we're gonna do this. All right.
Okay, this is news to me, but okay.
Okay.
Right.
Dragon.
Yes.
I have one question for you.
What?
One very simple question.
Do tell.
Are you a co-op?
Are you a cop?
Are you a co-op?
I asked you second.
Are you a co-op?
Are you a cop?
All right. We'll get into that, folks, but that is kind of our new rallying cry here on the Just Giggle It Grab Bag podcast. Are you a co-op? Okay, but yes, Dragon, as I kind of like, I'm sorry, we really need to here's the thing, Dragon, I always go in with these plans for the intros, and then I'm like, Dragon and I, we have really good chemistry, we have a good rapport, you'll just roll with it. And Dragon, you son of a bitch, you let me down every time. I'm just kidding, I love you, buddy. Anyways. I'm totally kidding, but so Dragon, why don't you go ahead and before we get into these sketches this evening, folks, today we're going to be talking about possibly the darkest sketch that Just Giggle It has ever produced, which is Leonardo DiCaprio should have won the Best Actor Oscar 2014. And then we'll lighten the mood by talking about a sketch that's all about a talking doll saying horrible, horrible things. So yeah, it's going to be a fun evening, right, Dragon? But you know what else would be a fun evening?
Kicking back and watching a number of episodes by the wonderful, eclectic name Harley Quinn and the Joker versus the real world. That's right, folks. What you got to do, you got to go to Just Giggle, and I know you're used to Just Giggle having a barrage of fantastic sketches. I know you're used to that, but you know what? Spice things up. Grab life by the reins, and let's just go to town, buddy. You gotta check out this show. It's fantastic. If you're a Batman fan, you're gonna love it. If you're an average Joe who says, "Oh, I've heard about this Joker character," and you want to learn more, this is the show for you. You gotta watch it. You gotta specifically get to episode 5. If not even start with episode 5, just let you just roll the dice. Just like let's just jump in the 5 and we'll watch the rest.
Just like we did with season 4 of Once Upon a Time.
Exactly, and that worked wonders. So,
yeah.
Folks, regardless, definitely watch episode 5. For our money so far, it's our favorite, but the rest are also excellent. You can build to really watch it, then go back, or just watch it all to get to episode 5, folks, because episode 5 needs the views to go up. And right now they're starting to go up, but we need to push them up even further.
The YouTube algorithm just seriously like messed with that video for some reason.
And folks, this is your opportunity to be a good Samaritan. Help Just Giggle It out. Be a pal. Watch the video. Send it around. Again, episode 5. Spread the word. Get it around there. Get those views up. Because if those views go up, something wonderful happens. We get more episodes. And I want more episodes. Tiki wants more episodes. America wants more episodes. Even Canada wants more episodes.
Leo wants more episodes.
Yeah, unless you're a cop.
God.
You are a cop. I think you're going to want more episodes. So again, Harley Quinn and Joker versus the real world, episode 5.
All right, Dragon. So with that in mind, let's transition into our first sketch of the evening. Leonardo DiCaprio should have won the Best Actor Oscar 2014.
Yeah, so this is the 33rd Just Giggle It sketch. It was written, directed, and edited by Joshua Thomas, and definitely has his stamp on it in a few places.
Interesting note to hit on, though, Dragon. I'm pretty sure completely unintentionally on our end, this is the first Just Giggle It grab bag we're doing where Joshua Thomas does not appear in front of the camera.
Not the first time, because Serial Mom, Tiki, Serial Mom.
No. I'm saying both of the sketches we're covering, he doesn't appear.
Oh, sorry. Yeah, you're right. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, this is
So,
true.
just an interesting way to switch things up on the podcast tonight.
Cool.
Showcase some new talent, perhaps. Perhaps tonight we'll find our new Ponzio!
Maybe. I think we definitely have there is a Starlight performer in both of these. I gotta say, we do have a couple spotlight performances in them. Actually, a number of them. Actually, we have similar players in this episode and the following.
We do.
And before we get into this, let's talk about Tiki. You and I, we've had a running. I think what kind of struck us on this one, and particularly you, I'd imagine, was we had built up some DiCaprio kind of Oscar phenomena ourselves.
Okay, here's the thing. Here's my stance with Leo is that, I feel like Leonardo DiCaprio is maybe the defining actor of this generation of film. I think he's wonderful. But by that same token, I feel like The Revenant was a situation where maybe that was a pity, though. I mean, don't get me wrong. He put himself through hell in The Revenant. But that's the thing. It was almost kind of like a self-parody at that point. It's like, he's going to get mauled by a bear and, like sleep in an animal carcass and face like 0-degree temperature weather in order to win an Oscar. And I feel like in that respect, it just kind of became a joke in and of itself. And I feel like with this sketch, even though it was made before the whole Revenant situation, I feel like it's an interesting kind of foreshadow to just like the sheer lengths and desperation that Leo would eventually go to actually win that Oscar finally.
Yeah, because again, DiCaprio, he's earned Oscars in the past, at least in the hearts of everybody, and like films like The Aviator, which they do spotlight here. It's my favorites. Never nominated, but again, I always loved him in Catch Me If You Can.
Mm-hmm.
The point is, DiCaprio's always kind of been a shoo-in for an Oscar. He's always an Oscar contender, never an Oscar sort of thing, and it's always been a phenomenon. And I guess what stuck out to this one was during the actual recording of the Oscars. There was a big moment where the winner of the Oscars, hugged DiCaprio. Your heart went out to DiCaprio. Like, oh, buddy, he did so well in Wolf of Wall Street. Poor DiCaprio.
And you know what? Wolf of Wall Street might be. Wolf of Wall Street probably is Leo's best role. I'll go ahead and say that.
I don't know. I still think The Aviator might be it, but then again, I hadn't really.
Aviator's a good. That is a good one. I honestly think both of those roles kind of have Leo go on a crazy arc through multiple decades, and I think they're both pretty comparable to each other.
Yeah, again, for me, if I'm looking at movie overall, I'm thinking Catch Me If You Can or Aviator. Those are my two DiCaprio kind of picks. But anyway, so the point is, the fine folks at Just Giggle, they kind of have a very well laid out commentary on Oscar fandom, but especially DiCaprio's quest for an Oscar. So let's just dive right into it.
Okay, so we meet up with our main characters from the episode Dragon. They are a bunch of Leo hardcore fans. We see a bunch of the Year of DiCaprio and the Year of Leo shirts. They all have Leonardo DiCaprio shirts. We see the Wolf of Wall Street.
It's still crazy. We have a lot of fun shirts here. We have like Oscar goes to the Year of DiCaprio, or as Tiki and I would like to say, in honor of someone who's not in either of these episodes either.
DiCaprio!
DiCaprio in honor of Alex. Anyway, so let's see. So, of course, the last one we have the future Mrs. Leonardo DiCaprio.
Future Mrs. Oscar winner Leonardo DiCaprio Dragon.
Yes, you're right. Yes, and I have a name for these guys. I call them the DiCaprio cult.
The DiCaprio cult. I like that. So
the DiCaprio cult, they're very psyched. They're all sitting down. It looks like Julian Silver. He's hosting the party. Julian Silver, the son from Serial Mom, the casting agent in the audition. sketch. So again, he's getting around. He's kind of if we don't see Poncio, I think chances are we're going to see Thomas or Joshua Thomas or Julian Silva. Those are kind of the trio. Like those usually are guys in these videos.
And Julian Silver, I'm just going to say this, is one of the most he's one of the most
versatile.
Yeah, versatile. But I was going to say in this sketch in particular, he's just really committed. That was the word I was looking for. He's really committed. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I really love him in the next thing we're going to talk about. But yeah, you're right, though. He's super committed, and he's definitely selling the whole, you a cop?
Well, we'll get there. So, it's not just the "Are you a cop?" moment. It's just everything. It's just this whole demeanor. He, as you said, he is transformative. He's got kind of like the wife beater shirt on, without the sleeves. He's got like the thick Boston accent going on.
Yep. I like to think that I honestly like to think he's. The reason he has the Boston accent, I don't think they're actually from Boston. I don't think he's even from Boston. I like to think that he's such a DiCaprio fan. He's just stuck on The Departed. That's my own headcanon on that, but I can't confirm nor deny that. So we have Piper Henson. Of course, Piper Henson, I think she's excellent in both of these. And what I love what she does a lot with very little here, because she plays Jessie. So Jessie's the girl in the end, and I love that Jesse's just kind of somewhat the voice of reason in the room, saying, "Well, hey, I got the Golden Globe, right?" And then, of course, gives a look to the girl next to her, saying, basically gives an expression of like it matters. Come on, Golden Globe. Then we see we have Jamie Cox on Silver's right. She has the whole future Mrs. Oscar winner Leonardo DiCaprio shirt on, and she. She's head over heels for DiCaprio, it would seem.
Mm-hmm.
And then, of course, we have Oscar Academy Award winner should be on his tombstone. They're all very psyched for even looking forward to the aftermath.
Then we have the one guy when he names his next son, he should name his next son Oscar DiCaprio.
I think that's my favorite. That's one of my favorite jokes in this, just Oscar, because it's so silly, but it makes so much. Yeah, Oscar DiCaprio.
Yeah, Leonardo would name his son Oscar DiCaprio.
No. I mean, it's this great logic.
It's not an illegitimate name.
Yeah, if you were a conceited actor and you won an Oscar, you would name your son.
Oh my God!
You could name your son Oscar than the last name, so it's like it'll be a permanent reminder of your success for your offspring. It's absurdly funny and logical. I love it. It's Brian Wiley. Wiley has a bigger role in the next one. We have a lot of familiar players here. Okay, so after the Oscar DiCaprio joke,
it's time for the rundown, Dragon.
Yeah, so Eddie, played by Sagar Sagar Shaikh, the guy on the very left, the guy looks like kind of Ravi from iZombie. He's on the very left, and he runs down the list of past nominees in the group. They just love to, and they're big Bostonese kind of glee.
All right, would you like to run down the list, Dragon?
Right.
What's eating Gilbert Grape?
Shoulda won.
The Aviator.
Shoulda
won.
Blood Diamond.
Shoulda won.
Titanic. Should have been
nominated. Then it should have won.
I love the hesitation on Titanic. Really emphasizing the nominations, just them voicing a little bit of doubt of like, you know what? Yeah. Probably supporting. Yes.
Dragon, that gag. The one thing that gag does is it makes me think like the man really hasn't put out a bad performance or a bad movie.
Yeah, when you really think about it, no, I can't really think of it. I mean, the closest thing, only because I've only watched it once because I wasn't crazy about the movie, but that's not on him. I just can't remember how he was in the movie. The Romeo and Juliet thing.
Oh, you know what? Like, I feel like that movie is, at the very least, it's a very bold movie, and it's very much a product of its own thing. You know what I mean? It's a mature film, so I at least have respect for that movie.
Sure.
Anyways.
All right. So then, of course, they get to Wolf of Wall Street about to win. Okay, so they're all sitting, they're all watching. You guys all ready to see justice be served? to their boy, just about to be served to their boy, and they're all.
Oh my god.
And of course, and this is when it begins. This is when it begins. So they're up. The rising justice served to our boy, and then basically they rally themselves like they're like it's like a pep talk in a locker room. Something where they say a
They all
chorus
go
of,
like back and forth to each other, like just very rapid fire. Like, are you a cop? Are you a cop? Are you a cop?
and again, this has just for the record. I mean, they can Josh or Thomas, I'm sure, can confirm this for us, or someone from Giggle can confirm this for us. But it has to be a reference to The Departed.
Oh no, it's definitely Dragon. I can confirm that for you. It's definitely a reference to The Departed.
Exactly. So it's hysterical.
I'm just saying, like, there is a moment in The Departed that feels exactly like that, where it's like everyone in the room, except in The Departed, it's very tense. You know what I mean? Like it's like 3 or 4 characters just going off on each other, accusing each other, and this just turns it into, like you said, like a locker room rallying cry.
All right, so before we break down the events that unfold, I just want to comment on the great comedy setup we have here, where the setup is great, knowing what follows. And again, if you the title being the whole should have, as in like, oh, this whole should have won. That's what's in the title. DiCaprio should have won. The best actor.
You know what? I'm not going to disagree with this, honestly, because if Leo needed to win an Oscar, this should have been his Oscar to win. Yeah. I mean, don't get me wrong. Obviously, I disagree with the whole, like, what plays out. Obviously, I'm not advocating for that. But, Dragon, I do think there is a nugget of truth to this sketch. I do think, like, in a perfect world, this would have been Leo's year.
I still remember that Remember that? I think it was during Bates Motel we made this joke. I remember that.
The whole thing where like Bryan Cranston gave up his Emmy to Leo.
Well, it was that assuming Cranston was also up for it. I believe for Trumbo that year. I think.
And I don't think that was 2014. I think that was the year that Leo won. Was when Cranston was up for Trumbo.
All right, sure. Well, regardless, yeah, you're right. It wasn't. You're right. It was a year after. But regardless, we still had that ridiculous gag where DiCaprio had not won an Oscar for so long. It would have been such like an uplifting one, assuming Cranston won, that he gave DiCaprio his Oscar. Said, "But I wanted it so bad. You know what, Leo? You can have mine." Like a mean green coconut smile moment.
All right.
Okay. Anyway, so back to what kind of unfolded. So again, I love they're playing on our expectations.
Just to speak to the thesis statement on my end for how they execute this, I love how this is pretty much, for my money, the first Just Giggle sketch that we've covered that uses stock real-world footage to its advantage in a comedic effect and really plays with that in the editing.
I'm so glad you brought that, because I think that's the strongest element of the sketch. How we utilize that. This is great, but later on is when we just hit it perfectly. We have like a perfect moment in the sketch. We'll get there. So, you see the clip unfold, which, by the way, you can pull up on YouTube. Literally, where the clip begins, where you can find. It's probably what they did for this, but regardless, I just love that we don't have the full joke, and I still have no idea what I can't remember what Jennifer Lawrence was like being laughed at for. Probably the whole falling on the stage thing.
I think that was the falling on the stairs year. Yeah. But then I love how our main guy is just like, "Come on, Jenny Lawrence, speed it up. Show some American hustle."
I love that line so much. Show a little American hustle, Jenny.
Can I just say, American Hustle, just that was not a film that I enjoyed. Really, I don't want to be too harsh on it, but I did not like it.
That's an impressive looking trailer, though.
Yeah, well, you might watch it and very well enjoy it, and I don't want to take that away from anyone who did enjoy it, but anyways.
Right. So basically, as Jennifer Lawrence off screen, because it might be, I don't know if there's a usage thing here. They can only show so much of this clip or what. I'm not sure. But regardless, because our focus is to the guys on the couch. It's not with like her just listing off the names and seeing the clips of the guys, because we know who's important. So it's DiCaprio and our DiCaprio cult. That's who's important. So. Basically, we see the reactions as Jennifer Lawrence off screen is listing the nominees, and basically get kind of their approximation. So let's see, we have Christian Bale for American Hustle. Boo!
Boo! Bruce Dern for Nebraska. Boo!
that we have a little variation on where it's like boo for Christian Bale. It's like boo old guy.
And then we have Chiwetel Ejiofor for 12 Years a Slave, and they basically are like kind of like they don't want to boo with that, right, Dragon? Correct me if I'm wrong.
What Silver says changed the way we think about slavery.
Right.
It's like a soft, like it's like a golf clap for him almost. We're like, they're not like booing him, but it's like a softer clap. Like, yeah, at least he's nominated.
And then we have Matthew McConaughey from Dallas Buyers Club.
They're all saying, no way.
No way, boo.
Okay, so then the Oscar goes to, do you know who?
Matthew McConaughey.
So as we hear the cheering and everything go on,
oh my god!
I love this is perfect. Now I love how we see the moment. We see kind of the Zapruder footage of comedy here, where McConaughey hugs DiCaprio on his way up and says, "You know, I'm going to bet you this. I'm going to bet you, aside from just some like DiCaprio, I'm bet you that moment and probably like some big post-Oscar like." Like after the Oscar, they have like always the high and lows of the Oscar, and they always have these little moments. I'll bet you someone just Giggle watched that, and then they got the idea of, we like DiCaprio, we're rooting for him, and that moment is such how we kind of pause those moments and how people get hung up on those moments. Let's do a sketch based. I think that's the inspiration.
Yeah, I can see that.
So
everyone's crestfallen. One guy takes off his glasses very solemnly.
It's kind of I'm convinced, and this is another thing they can confirm for us. Sagar, he removes his glasses in kind of the Hitler meme style. I'm pretty sure that's the way they shot that looks identical to the way he's removing the glasses. And the cult's speechless. And here's where I think the brilliance of this comes in. Again, aside from the editing that's upcoming, I love the facial performance, and I love the performance in the silence among everybody. How they're really crestfallen, and of course, on a rewatch, we know exactly why they're crestfallen. It's more than just DiCaprio losing.
Exactly.
And my favorite of all of these is Jesse and the Piper Henson. Basically, you see her processing her fate on the very right of the couch here. You see kind of her go through kind of the process and the emotions of, oh my god, my life's over. And I love how she goes through that. Again, it's adding this sense of dread, and it's you're catching like, oh man, they're really invested in DiCaprio. And again, it's only half the reason. So Eddie,
and then compare that to Eddie, who's just like he's like so gung ho about it. He's like, all right, we're doing this. Like we're in. No one is going to walk away from this.
Well, Julian Silver. So Silver, he gives Eddie the command, Eddie, ready the preparations, and he says, "You all knew what would happen if the unthinkable happened." That's when Eddie he brings out as he defiantly, in his depression, he clears the table. He's ready to accept his fate, but he ain't happy about it. And this is where the editing comes into play. I love that this is all set, and we cut to him. We hear it in the background. It's all set. McConaughey's acceptance speech, and as the cult accepts their fate very solidly. So as
McConaughey is just delivering this like super heartfelt speech. He's like bringing out his parents. He's thanking the cast and crew.
Now this is brilliant. I have to assume this is intentional. There's a chance it could be like a happy accident, but how great would it be if this is intentional? McConaughey is basically when after the table's cleared and Eddie, he retrieves the Kool-Aid, and the minute I saw that Kool-Aid, I knew exactly what was happening.
Oh yeah,
the Kool-Aid and the cups, and I love that as they're pouring the Kool-Aid and as they begin to drink the Kool-Aid, we hear McConaughey talking about like his father drinking when he was like having a conversation with him. So like
right.
So again, I love McConaughey's jubilation and like he's reflecting so happily. We have something so dark and such a dark extreme happening. And it's basically it's the darkest extreme. It's just Giggle doing what they do. They take a gag into 11 to its eventual conclusion, and we have it taken to its darkest extreme with like this great, and this is what I love about it, this great somber dignity about it. I love there's like a dignity about what they're doing here.
Mm-hmm.
Basically, it's like Titanic in that it's the captain going down with the ship while the violinists play. That's what. That's the way they play it. And it was a brilliant choice.
And like I said, like I keep harping back to, there is a nugget of truth to this in the fact that like Wolf of Wall Street was a career high for Leo. I mean, it really was. Like, Leo was absolutely fearless in that movie. So it really was like a version of Leo that we had never seen before. Like, I remember getting caught up in that hype, Dragon. Wolf of Wall Street was my favorite movie of that year. So, I can definitely attest to really, really wanting to see Leo win.
Yeah, I only have one nitpick with this whole sketch. Is one small nitpick. The way when they don't have enough Kool-Aid to pour into all those cups. That's like the
And
only.
so,
There's
and
not
so,
enough.
and so the leader guy gets like the really, really full glass, and then other people get like, really short glasses.
And I'm saying, like the amount that he poured in there is like he used it all up because we all saw like two poured, and then he had like the whole thing filled up. Yet everybody has Kool-Aid.
I feel like I feel like this is a situation where they either should have reshot it, like they should have like put his, because I get the sense that again, this is just filmmaking minutia here, folks, so bear with us. I get the sense that the actor, he poured it like for himself. He filled up the glass, but then he realized like, oh crap, I don't have enough to fill up everyone's glass. So he then just started filling it up just a little bit for everyone but his.
Yeah.
What I think they should have done is either obviously just reshoot it, just put it back in the in the picture, just be more mindful, or the more creative route is there could have been an improv where the actor just starts like distributing juice into the other cups from his own cup.
Right. Yeah, I think you're.
And that would have added to the comedy too, because it would have been like part of the ritual. You know what I mean? Like the leader gets the big amount that he then gets to share with everyone else.
So speaking of the pouring and this about to take a drink, I love how Annalyn's the girl on Silver's direct left. I love how she isn't sure. She has second thoughts, and then I think here's another very small thing. Is it's kind of, I don't know, because I think that, again, it's so well integrated here because we have the award speech going on in the background. It's a little hard to hear him, but I'm not entirely sure about this. Not like a knock against the thing. I think he says something along the lines of, "It's us or the Academy." Or basically, whoever side you're on the Academy side, you're on our side.
Right.
I love the fear and it's the fear of accepting the dark reality of like you don't want to go, but you've committed to a cause greater than yourself. And so,
I mean, it really does speak to the dark nature of cults, right? It's like right at the very end, it's just like, okay, we're just going to really hammer this point home. They're all going to just die straight up.
But I mean, just speaking to the brilliance of this, I could be definitely reading into this, but I found that the premise, kind of the undercurrent of this sketch, aside from just the gag of like, hey, let's just look at the kind of all the how DiCaprio is robbed of an Oscar and like how much it must have hurt, and especially DiCaprio fans, how much it must have hurt. We're looking at kind of the sociological context here. They're taking how we attach ourselves to actors or expectations, how we have our hopes built up, we're hyped for something, and we're taking that to the darkest extreme. Again with that somber dignity. That's where I love that we're going there, and we're kind of putting that under a microscope. That take how much we over involve ourselves in things, but take it to its darkest, over the top comedic endpoint. That's kind of what we do here with all this. All right, so we have solid editing between them drinking and of course McConaughey like on 1,000, 2,000, living cloud nine. And then basically again, as done as far as they all take a drink. Then a sip.
Oh my god. This is like kind of like the opposite of One Night Stand. It's like they know exactly how to end this one.
Yeah, so Sipka arrives. Says, "Oh guys, sorry I'm late." And of course he arrives. He says, "One, that he's too late because I gotta imagine there's a fun mundanity here they don't have time to get into, and I understand why they didn't want to get into because it's the perfect ending. But you gotta imagine if you're the cult guy who shows up late after everyone's.
Oh my god!
Like,
right?
Well, what do I do? Do I lead the next cult? What now? It's like, what next? I missed the boat. You guys drank all the Kool-Aid. What now?
But I just love how that's intercut with like McConaughey like on the TV, just and the horror of that, just like oh no, the unthinkable has happened.
Like Izzy saying no to the fact that all his friends there were no to the fact that McConaughey's won. No! And of course, they have this great alternate take, this great outtake, I guess, of not an outtake, a great kind of broken take of for the subscriber tag here, where basically Sick is in the middle of his no, of his almost Hamill-esque no. Hamill just like mid take, he's plugging Just Giggle and saying, "Hey, if you like what you've seen here, subscribe for more." And we end on, we hear like, all right, all right, all right. McConaughey
all right,
saying,
all right, all right.
Yeah, that's DiCaprio. Should have won.
All right, yeah, Dragon. I think from a performance point of view and also just a conceptual point of view, this was a really, really fun one. I think it speaks to a lot of like Hollywood culture and just, you got to keep in mind with these guys, they are in the thick of the LA lifestyle here. You know what I mean? That's what a lot of the humor of Harley Quinn and the Joker versus the real world comes across as. These guys are very much living that kind of experience. So, with that in mind, I feel like this is a really, really good representation of the kind of Hollywood political climate that was around at the time of the 2014 Oscars. And just in general, it's just a great look into fandoms and how fandoms can be twisted to be something darker than themselves. And I really like it. And I think I like the fact that Just Giggle has a dark streak to them and they're not afraid to embrace it.
Yeah, just for me, it's fun. It's kind of, it starts in a place of kind of some fun observational humor, and then it kind of, with this smart underlying reflection on fandom and expectation and that climate you're referring to. And it's very well edited. It's excellent performances, solid performances too. Not just it's reactionary performance. I think that's important. While still we're being driven mainly by Silver, so it's all umbrellaed by Silver, but he's well complemented by everybody's reactions. Everybody's committing, not just him. I love that. So it's simple, it's direct, and it's really funny yet really really dark. So it's a winner. All right.
Do you want a show?
It's boy oh boy is it a winner, I tell you, folks.
Okay. All right, so let's get into the next one. Let's get into the hold on, let me switch out the images here. Because Dragon, you're about to enter the Giggle zone. All right, so this is I'm not sure what to call this. I guess the episode just calls it the Lost Twilight Zone episode, Night of the Living Doll.
Parody, yes.
Parody. All right, so folks, we're kind of running a bit low on the actual Just Giggle parodies that we could do, but this is another one that, it's basically, folks, we're kind of getting to the point where it's like either really early stuff that we don't necessarily feel measures up to Just Giggle its current quality, looking at you, excitable Spider-Man, or stuff that Dragon and I just really don't have a rooted interest in when it comes to the parodies. Like stuff like Mad Men and the Law and Order one. So
one of these days we'll get to the Law and Order one. It's just
yeah. So we'll savor these while we can. Let's get to the Twilight Zone. Dragon, I don't know. You know that I'm a big Twilight Zone fan.
Yeah, I know.
Yeah. Okay. Good. Because I am. It's probably one of the greatest TV shows ever made.
So so this one was written, directed, and edited not by Joshua Thomas, but by Brian Wiley.
This definitely feels like a passion project.
Yeah, and I imagine we might enter a similar situation we did with I believe The Walking Dead, who I believe Brian Wiley, if I'm remembering correctly, I think he also did. He took on that one because he was the big he knew whoever directed that one. I assume he was Wiley and knew their stuff about The Walking Dead and were the rest of a lot of the other Just Giggle crew, weren't so, they weren't up to date, if anything, on that. So, anyway, so yeah, I respect the heck out of the Twilight Zone. I haven't watched all of them, but I've enjoyed what I usually whatever I watch at Twilight Zone, I'm happy with. So I got a lot of love and respect for the Twilight Zone, just not a lot of fandom for it. sense. But
Sure.
yes.
Obviously, the Tower of Terror went a long way towards, being a gateway drug into the Twilight Zone, if you will.
So, so we start this one off. I guess we'll just dive right into it then.
Sure, go for it.
Okay, so we start this off. We have again our director as the narrator as well as Rod Sterling. And I think he does a pretty on the money Rod Sterling. I think he does a really spot on Sterling.
Well, what I like about his Sterling is that he's not trying to necessarily do a spot on imitation. He's more kind of like taking certain cadences and certain inflections from Sterling and making it its own thing in a way.
And it works. Do you have the opening? Or should I?
Oh, let me see. I think I can manage it. Just give me a sec. You're about to enter a world. Sorry. Hold on. Where comedy meets accountability. Where everything is either fake or real. Dragon, why don't you do it? I'm sorry.
Okay, so you're about to enter a world where comedy meets accountability, where everything is either fake or real, or none of the above. Where everything you're about to see and hear are truths, unless they're possibly lies. Essentially, it's unless they're possibly lies. So it's you've just completed an illegal 3-point turn into the Giggle zone. I love this. This opening feels very true to the Twilight Zone, but again, this is like in writing. This feels like the ultimate kind of what you can do in a parody, and that it feels like the Twilight Zone, but obviously it is not the Twilight Zone.
Well, I mean, with the Twilight Zone, of course, the whole gag is that Rod Serling would come up with more and more elaborate ways to describe the Twilight Zone as it went on, and all these deep, complex metaphors and layers to it. And so, Just Giggle It, by all means, wasn't the first ones to come up with the gag of like, hey, let's do, like, I believe Family Guy did it too, and probably the one that comes to mind for me is Futurama's The Scary Door.
Right. Well, I mean is I love how it's something specified to Just Giggle It with the Giggle It zone, and my favorite, my two favorite lines in it, I love in the opening. I love the where comedy meets accountability. Where honestly, Tiki, that's the slogan of Just Giggle It. When you really think about it, comedy meets accountability. It's always about the aftermath and the accountability of the comedy when it comes to a large majority of at the very least all the Just Giggle It parodies. Accountability is a big thing. And then, of course, just it almost sounds like a Tick line, the whole, it's something like you'd hear in the Tick, where he goes on a monologue about the city or something, where an illegal 3-point turn.
Well, that's exactly what I'm talking about with the whole, taking these elaborate metaphors that Rod Serling would write about and turning them into comedy.
Right. And of course, in the cleverness in the writing there too, we have some fun contradictory dialogue, and it's and those out of left field comparisons too. It feels really fun and absurd. So, yeah, I guess outside of kind of our Sterling-esque narrator, we meet the Jarvis family.
The Jarvis family.
Yes, no, not Edwin Jarvis.
Aww.
Folks, all the Agent Carter fans miss him too, but not about him.
All right.
So it's someone's having a birthday party.
It's Piper Henson.
Yes, again, a Piper Henson playing yet another adorable kid. It's like
very versatile there.
I love how we keep playing with the height of Piper Henson. We make her play children, then we make her play tall women. It's funny.
Exactly. And then she played a 10-year-old boy in The Walking Dead.
I'm saying, nice son of a, she's so darn talented, Tiki, that Piper Henson. I can't say enough nice things about Piper Henson. I really can't. So let's see. So she plays Carol Ann. She's Carol Ann, the daughter of a Harold Jarvis, and and one of my favorite choices in all this, Tiki. And I double checked. It was before Better Call Saul. All right, it was before Better Call Saul. We have a black and white sketch set to the ink spots.
You're right.
Well, see, again, the ink spots, you got to bear in mind, folks, the ink spots, almost all of their music sounds the same, but it's like, it's good, though, where we have, like, the Address Unknown has the same melody, I guess, as what we use here, World on Fire.
Well, I just love the old timey quality to this music. It really adds a sense of atmosphere and ambiance, and almost a little bit of underlying creepiness. Outside of just the parody element, it does kind of get under your skin a little bit. I don't know about you, but it was really effective in that way for me, Dragon.
Well, yeah, remember I put this in the. I know it's years back actually. I put this in the Ben Affleck kind of prequel Batman movie. It was like he was in a building that was on fire, that the Joker lit on fire, and it was set to "I don't want to set the world on fire."
Right.
So yes, so we meet. You're right. He has a great underlying dark context while still being really appealing, and that's again it kind of hallmarks of Twilight Zone. Everything seems idyllic and fun until something really bad happens.
Exactly.
So we meet the father. We meet Carol Ann's father, Harold.
Oh man.
And he's trying to earn visitation rights. He's trying to earn some points for visitation, trying to earn them back. Or he's definitely in the doghouse at the point. So Julian Silver plays Harold. And I love, honestly, so far, Tiki, I think it's my favorite Julian Silver performance. I don't know why, but I really love him.
For me, I kind of lean more toward. I mean, don't get me wrong; he's great in this, but I just because maybe I can just relate to the Leo thing a little bit more. I lean more towards the Leonardo DiCaprio skit for his best performance, just because he's so committed in that skit. But here it does show the versatility of him, because he's much more level-headed, and the whole joke of this is that unlike the Leo sketch, he is like the one sane guy in the room.
Yeah, and I gotta tell you, T, don't get me wrong, I think he has good physical comedy in this. But what I really loved, I'd love to see him do some dramatic stuff. If they ever wanted to use him for dramatic stuff, or put him in a new Joker and Harley Quinn or something. I mean, I'd love to see him get a role like that, because I saw a lot of great dramatic potential.
Uh-huh.
I mean, just the situation that he's in. I love it's like a real world situation. I love that we're kind of like subverting a bit of the Twilight Zone kind of the expectation, where he's he's a dad trying to earn visitation rights, and the wife hates him. Well, the ex-wife hates him. So things. Things might go awry. I'm sorry. So then Rod Serling, he says, but Harold's here trying to earn his visitation rights back, but things might go awry because today's scheduled entertainment is paid for. In name, basically, he's saying because it's the Giggle. So.
All right, so we see Carol Ann's mother give her one final gift, which ends up being I believe it's a talking Tammy, right?
Yes. So Fiona, played by Brianna Catlin. I love the Tiki. It's a 1%er. It's never. I highly doubt it. I'd love it if she was related to Sam Catlin, but there's no chance of that, I'm sure. But anyway, so Brianna Catlin, she gives Carol Ann, yes, a talking Tammy doll. The talking Tammy doll is voiced by
course. Yeah, I'm sorry. I'm just going to say, of course, based on the talking Tina doll from the show.
Oh God, that was awful in that Arthur Christmas special.
So essentially, the whole gag of this sketch is, back when that episode aired, the whole idea of a doll saying that she was going to kill you was just one of the most shocking and grotesque and horrific things that TV audiences had ever encountered. And the gag about this is what if the doll said much more viscerally grotesque things than just simply "I'm going to kill you"? What if the doll really ramped it up a notch?
Wait a minute, let me ask you something, Tiki. You seem to know this. So wait, is Tammy specifically based on an episode?
Oh yeah. Tammy is based on the Talking Tina episode.
Oh,
I don't know the exact name of the episode, but there very much is an episode where it's, I believe, I forget the exact setup for it, but I do know that the whole "I'm talking Tina and I'm going to kill you" is a famous Twilight Zone line.
Oh my God, that makes this even better, Tiki. But here's what I was thinking though. When you said that, Tina the talking, I was thinking of Tina the talking Tabby from
Oh my God,
from the Arthur Christmas from the PBS Arthur Christmas special that we talked about. That's what I was thinking about throughout this whole thing. But oh my god!
When you said the Arthur Christmas special, I thought you meant Arthur Christmas.
No. I meant.
So we got our metaphors like really mixed up there for a sec.
Oh my god! But yes, that makes again this. I mean, I figured like the whole talking doll concept, but literally it was like a Tina / kind of Tammy's. Basically it's an approximation of something. Okay, it's cool.
Or either that, or it could just be like, in its own way, maybe a sequel episode to the Talking Tina episode, like hypothetically.
Okay, that's cool.
Okay.
All right, so I'll buy this. So she's voiced by the voice of the doll was Jamie Cox. And I think it's funny that Julian Silver and Jamie Cox work together a lot against Serial Mom and The Son. That's their roles. The casting agents. They've, in the DiCaprio thing, the DiCaprio cult members. So they're paired together a lot, and I love in this case, like she's like a sadistic doll, essentially. Of course, based on Chucky, I've always got my own kind of like paranoia about my childhood. I was definitely put off by murderous dolls. That was always really weird to me.
All right, so everyone leaves the room to go have cake, which leaves Harold alone with Talking Tammy, and Talking Tammy says, "I'm Talking Tammy, and I love you."
Then he has this great heartbreaking line. I think it's a good setup here where he says, "Well, at least somebody does."
And then we get the famous Twilight Zone like kind of lift, which is "I'm Talking Tammy and I'm going to kill you."
Now Harold's attention has been grabbed.
So he grabs the doll and hightails it to the other room.
Yeah, so I love Silver. There's so much I love about this episode, about this sketch, because again, I love the performance and the body language on Silver's performance, but I also love the composition of shots here, Tiki. And I think it's one of the most, short of probably One Night Stand, I think this might be the best looking sketch, at the very least, the best looking parody I've seen Just Giggle do so far. Mm-hmm. But this, again, in terms of parody, you have this and you have the Space Jam, which that's probably the best. That was a remake, though. It's the best remake they've ever done. This is probably the best parody they've done in shooting wise. And I love how we have like all the focal points are in the frame when we cut back for him like popping his head, and we see the reverse shot of that. We see the back of his head, the doll, and Fiona and the cake, because again the cake being mentioned, it's like everything's in the foreground you need to focus on. Right. So in a very pointed way, Fiona's asking he's saying, "Oh my God, the dolls. This doll is very strange."
Harold, could you please not, basically throwing shade, like, can you please not just talk crap about the gift to my daughter? I'm sorry, Dragon. I'm not explaining this well.
So basically, in a very pointed way, Fiona's asking, "Can you try not taking our daughter's special day away, her special day away from your daughter?" And then of course, he brings up the same point again, and it's just, can you not judge the gifts that I give our daughter? At least I'm here for her, unlike you. And Tiki, this is where we hit the real greatness of it all here. I love that I could be crazy here, Tiki. You know what vibe I'm getting from Julian Silver? And honestly, the whole thing, but especially Silver. I'm getting kind of a season 1 Breaking Bad vibe. I'm just saying the way he looks kind of like with the black and white and it all with the glasses. I don't know, it looks vaguely like a cross between season 1, Walter White, and I gotta be honest, it's gonna sound out of left field. It's gonna sound bizarre. It looks vaguely like Mark Ruffalo.
Mark Ruffalo, I could see that.
That's the thing. I get kind of with the black and white, the glasses, and the longish hair. I'm getting kind of like an Avengers Mark Ruffalo vibe.
All right,
maybe like a quiver Just Giggle can work with later in life. Who knows? But yeah, so I just love the quiet drama, the quiet dramatic set piece of all that. Again, the heart of it all is like the backdrop to the insanity of the sketch is like kind of this family drama that's going on, like and you feel, and because of that Breaking Bad comparison, I mean, there's that sort of, there's that sadness to the guy, like a guy beaten down by life, and that you feel bad for him, you feel sympathy for him, and that's what's selling me so much on this. That's the set piece for this comedy, and that's where Just Giggle, again, it's usually that kind of like crank it to 11 mentality, but instead they've kind of cranked it to 11 in the backdrop, in the set piece of it all. And I thought that was so clever.
Right.
All right, let's see. So he returns the press to the couch, and he's sitting with the doll. Again, feels almost like the beginning of like a Gene scene from Better Call Saul too, with the black and white and everything. He's just all sad in the press, is like eating his lunch by himself, practically. Anyway, so let's see. So Harold's sitting down. What happens?
I'm talking Tammy, and I'm going to take off your face and wear it as a mask.
Silence of the Lamb reference there.
And to that end, Harold is just like absolutely disgusted. I love the face he makes at that.
I love while he's making that face. My favorite bit of physical comedy from Silver here is I love how he with this gesture, like, you know, he curls up and then he pushes the doll away with the leg. I love that.
Sorry, did I scare you?
God, so then he rushes back in the kitchen. What does he say to you that he like Roth?
This creepy doll is saying some really dark Eli Roth kind of shit.
It's a great line, especially since we did that Ray's the greatest fan film ever made thing when Eli Roth was, you know, he's a factor. That's what was on my mind with Eli Roth. Like, oh yeah, Eli Roth, the pleasant guy, the pleasant indie kind of horror fan film guy.
Dragon, let's just say Eli Roth's movies would not make you think of him as a pleasant guy.
I know, but he seems so nice.
I'm not saying I'm not saying he's not a nice guy. I'm just saying his movies give off the impression that he's not a nice guy.
Yeah, it's funny. It's funny how the world works like that. Okay, so I love Tiki. This one I'm talking about. The compositions are so beautifully set. I forget who's the first AD on this. I don't know. Whoever composed the shot did an excellent job. So Carol Ann is in the scene as he's saying that Eli Roth line. The mother's like, Carol Ann, sweetie, earmuffs.
God.
Just Piper hits it again. She's doing very little in this. She just literally opened the gift and she's doing the earmuffs. It's so adorable.
Mm-hmm.
So she's doing that, and she's like, come on. I'm sorry, you want to take us through it?
Yeah, and then we get probably the most hilarious moment in the whole thing, which is, I'm talking Tammy, and I found the knife drawer.
So I have I could be wrong here. I could be crazy here, but I sensed there might be something suggested here. I sense that there's a question of if this is in his mind or not. So this could be like in his mind, or it could be like a Michigan J. Frog thing where it's actually happening, but no one's seeing it. Because honestly, I think an argument could be made that this is all in his mind.
Oh, I think so too, and I think that would be right in line with the Twilight Zone. Because
think of it, and again, I think it's brilliant in the writing of this. Because think about it, that ambiguity. He says, "Oh my God!" After he is told, "I found the knife drawer," and then he sees her by the knife drawer. Yet we know physically she was in the other room in the previous scene, and when he's like with the doll on his back coming up, it's coming from that living room. So he could have very well imagined her by the knife drawer just then. And again, I think what we're suggesting here is that basically you could read it as like a supernatural Twilight Zone-y thing, or again, by the same token, like a Twilight Zone touch of like, okay, so you have that ambiguity there. It could be in his head, and basically what we're seeing before us, what he's doing, like running around, and of course with the rope around his neck, it's the delusions of a sad man killing himself, an unloved man killing himself.
And Dragon, you see what you just laid out there? Yeah? That is exactly what makes the Twilight Zone the Twilight Zone. All right, like
yeah.
I really wouldn't be surprised if that was kind of the angle they're going for. Like, I don't know if you got it, like, beat by beat, like, exactly down to the nail what they were going for, but what you laid out is exactly the kind of, like, twisted morality play that the Twilight Zone excels at.
And again, Tiki, that's made possible by them getting the backdrop so right and setting that up. Otherwise, that doesn't communicate. Otherwise, like, okay, it still works. Don't get me wrong; it's still funny, but by the same token, it doesn't work as well and be as smart as it is without them getting the backdrop and all the details right with their parody. And that's what Giggle has done so well, time and time again, getting the small details right, selling you on the property.
Sure.
All right, so Tammy is riding and strangling.
Oh my God!
As he's running back.
Honestly, I feel like this is the point where, to me, this pretty much confirms that. I don't know. This is just like my headcanon here, but I feel like Talking Tammy is kind of like the metaphor in his own mind, the kind of like conjuring in his own mind of what his divorce is going to do to him in his life.
Yeah, I could see that. And if you want to read into it further, you could say that again. So Tammy is a female voice that again seems all sunshine and rainbows, and then kind of secretly. Well, and that's the brilliance of what Jamie Cox did with the performance on the doll here, because we take kind of these really mean, scary Eli Roth-ish comments, but kind of happy-go-lucky way, and that's the great balance you have strike there, and it's kind of like a relationship of like, everything seems great at first, but then there's like an underlying, like when things go south, there's like a biting, like, I like, remember the pleasant memories, now it's also, it's also morbid and bad.
But the thing that we see visually is we see the doll around the guy's neck, but that's something that he could have just put there himself.
Exactly.
So, what do you read into that, Dragon?
Again, I read into it that again he could just be that doll, and again the fact that Fiona gave Carol Ann that doll, that was like kind of the Turbo Man, if you will. That was kind of like the coveted toy. That was the big
and then
he
gave Carol Ann Booster, and nobody wants Booster
unless you watch Buzz Lightyear Star Command. Everyone loves that Booster, not the furry pink Booster.
Screw that Booster.
Anyway, but yeah, I mean, you could read into it that again, like she succeeded as a parent, where he's barely showing up, and he's barely showing up because he doesn't have the visitation rights, and he's just kind of given up as a parent, and in giving up as a parent, he's kind of giving up in life. So you get a variety of things you could read into it, folks. Anyway, whether that's all intentional or not, jury's out.
Speaking of a variety of things you can read into, we see the noose around his neck as he's laying on the floor.
Yes, and I love that Fiona thinks he's doing a bit.
Gotta wonder if Harold was like an improv comedian or something as his day job.
I wonder. So you're right. So we reveal him dead on the floor, and we have this.
I like how Fiona's still trying to be polite. She's like, if you'll care to join us, Harold, we're having cake in the other room.
That's the thing, Teak, what they did so brilliantly, and I still probably would have worked, but I love that they kind of, again, with the Breaking Bad kind of comparison I give season 1 Breaking Bad, it's like you could easily make her into a Skylar White kind of ex-wife, but they don't do that. They skirt that line. They skirt it just the way they need to. Or again, you get why she's definitely being harsh on the guy, but by the same token, she is still kind of the rational, uninformed person in the room, where had she known, again, assuming it's real, the doll actually has killed him, and he's dead. And he wasn't, that he was telling the truth the whole time. Again, she's acting very rationally, very civil, and just very like, why do you have to turn this into something about you? She's being very, relatable, I guess.
Mm-hmm.
Anyway, so again, the framing has got me over the barrel here, too, because again, I love how the framing. We do kind of that classic, almost. She's kind of cut off from, like, we cut the head off. We kind of see her from almost like a comic strip sort of thing, like an old school cartoon, like an old school Tom and Jerry thing, where she's kind of cut off in the beginning before she kneels down. We just have really good framing and so well shot.
Sure.
And she crouches down with the cake in hand. Again, everything is in the shot that's important and what's talked about. Everything. So she's okay. Look, when you're done, your little temper tantrum, you can grow up and join the rest of us in the kitchen for cake. Of course, he doesn't move, and she just says, okay, fine, then be a drama queen. Whereas as she walks off, we hear the Twilight Zone music as we see Harold dead on the ground, and we pan up. Now, again, look, folks, it's not even a problem. It's just, it's a ponderance, it's the question. This is good, how we pan up from him to Rod Serling, but I feel it might have been a little more true to the Twilight Zone. You can speak of this a lot more than I can. If it had been a little slower, if we got panned up a little slower and maybe less immediate. But again, even that's the smallest, closest thing to a gripe.
Yeah, I mean, to me, Dragon, I feel like that's definitely a nitpick. Like, I feel like with Rod Serling, it just kind of depends on the episode. Like, there's some episodes where he just doesn't show up at the end at all, and there's others where he's very abruptly there. You know what I mean? It kind of varies. So,
and again, if I'm talking like a pittance of even like a nitpick here, okay, I'm saying the thing is just so well shot, it kind of stuck out to me. That's all.
Right, but what I like about this whole thing is that it basically breaks the Rod Serling mold of like I like how it's kind of like forcing Rod Serling to be like, wait, no, I'm not a part of this. I'm just the announcer guy. Come on, you can't like I'm not supposed to be in these morality tales. I tell these morality tales. What are you doing here?
As the doll appears on his shoulders and is like targeting him next, like has this ever happened, Tiki, in the Twilight Zone, or is like
No.
that's what makes it a good parody. It's a what if.
Yeah. In the Twilight Zone, Rod Serling was always just the omnipresent narrator and observer who never interacted with anything in the actual show. I mean, he was there, but he was there in a very much like a, you know what I mean, kind of like a very much like he was almost like kind of like the god looking over things. You know what I mean?
I got you.
Yeah.
So, like, someone get to stay off me. You know, I'm not in this bed. I want to see you gargle your own blood.
Oh my god.
Then we have kind of this great subscriber tag with the silver with the doll around him and the rope around his neck, just to be able to subscribe, and he's all happy and pleasant about it. Okay, so final thoughts, Tiki. What do you think?
Final thoughts. I think Dragon. I think you're right that I feel like as a production, you know what I mean, from a sheer filmmaking point of view, this might be the most impressive thing that we've talked about. I think it's far from the biggest laugh out loud sketch that Just Giggle's ever done, but I don't think it was ever meant to be a big, huge laugh out loud like laugh riot. I think the thing that actually makes it effective is the fact that there's some genuine morality play going on here, and there's some genuine suspense, especially with the build up from the music and the way that kind of slowly amplifies itself up. Like I said, it's not the funniest Just Giggle sketch, but it's definitely one of the most faithful in terms of parody and recreation, and I like it a lot.
Yeah. Well, for me, you know, it's yet another fantastic parody. It feels and looks like the Twilight Zone. It looks beautiful. It's so well acted. You got this cool ambiguity on the rewatch that we kind of highlighted. It makes me want, honestly, it makes me want like a new Twilight Zone show today. If these guys, you know, really work on that, like Brian Wiley, a new version of Twilight Zone. I mean, like a short, like an internet, like a web series version of Twilight Zone.
Oh.
That'd be great. Like a new, like again, like not like a. I know people are gonna say Black Mirror. Look, I mean actual Twilight Zone. I don't mean like
Black Mirror.
That's what I don't mean like a. Hey, it's kind of like Twilight.
Okay, I mean, the problem I have with Black Mirror, just to go off on a pop culture tangent really quick, is Black Mirror makes no attempt to show the lighter side of humanity, and that's the genius thing about the Twilight Zone. Is the Twilight Zone is about normal people in extraordinary situation. Black Mirror, I mean, I definitely see the appeal that Black Mirror has. It just isn't for me. But to me, there's just Black Mirror is very nihilistic in a way where the Twilight Zone was almost kind of like oddly hopeful.
And that's the thing. The hope sucks you in and makes the twist of it all stick even further in. You know, you need
right.
the counterbalance. And here's the thing.
Whereas with Black Mirror, it's just scary and depressing and creepy all the way through. So of course, when the really big, scary, depressing, creepy thing happens, you know, you're just kind of like emotionally numb to it.
And here's another thing, just real quick, is that I don't know why we're so scared of it these days, but we got to do more black and white, and this would be the way to do more black and white on it. Again, this thing in black and white looked amazing. It looked beautiful. And I usually love seeing black and white animation, but you're seeing it in its glory here. I mean, this was great. It definitely felt like a passion project done right. I can only assume Brian Wiley is a huge Twilight Zone fan, and if so, I mean, he delivered big time on it. It was excellent. Out of the two, it's my favorite for this episode. I had a great time with it. It was a really lovely. I thought it was gonna be kind of like, okay, we're doing like an old talking doll, you know, like kind of joke, and it was far more than that. It was so well. It was so beautifully executed, and I think it looks flawless.
All right. Well, folks, thank you so much for joining us. Dragon and I have a little bit of a surprise once we hit the double digits here. We're going to go 2 more episodes of our current format of doing a parody and then a sketch. And then, Dragon, I think maybe we should reveal the I don't. Do you want to say what it is now?
You know what? Let's keep them on the hook for
Keep them on the hook. All right. Sorry, folks. You gotta earn it. You gotta work for it. But
Jim,
we'll be
right,
doing
folks,
something. We'll be doing something a little bit. We'll be changing up the format a little bit for season 2. So that should be coming out. Basically, let's see, like second week of June, probably.
I'd imagine like probably like in the middle of June. Is probably
Something like that. Yeah. Okay. All right, but in the meantime, Dragon, I'm sorry, man. I have to ask you just one more time. All right, just to confirm, so we all know we're all on the same page here, and we can all just be civil gentlemen. All right. I gotta ask.
Ask away.
Are you a cop?
Where comedy meets accountability.
Are you a cop?
Are you a cop?
Are you a cop?